Kunal, let's go to you next. To the extent you can, share the scale, not just in terms of users, but any other financial metrics that you can. As well as I want you to share one insight about the Indian consumer, because you have an insight a day, Kunal, on what's happening with the Indian consumer.
So Cred, just like Zetwork, we will complete 6 years in 2 weeks from now. And it feels like forever because most of our building was during the COVID time. We currently command a large market share of, let's say, the affluent customers of India and kind of credit-worthy customers of India. In terms of scale today, nearly 35 to 40% of all credit cards in India are managed on the platform. And what we do on top of that, we cross-sell a bunch of things. We are north of $300 million of revenue. A lot of the stuff is public and growing quite rapidly. But the more interesting thing, Rajan, you'll remember we had no monetization 2.5 years ago. So all the monetization happened in the last 2.5 years. We were building the platform and distribution before. So, and thankfully, we are operating in a category where the gross margins are quite high. We kind of focus on the business and operate as a pure internet business. On Insight, Indian consumers are unique, but I'll talk about something different than Indian consumers. While we see all these startups listing, the one unique thing that is different than what it was before, for the first time, we see wealth sharing happening at the scale that last time we saw this was Infosys, where employees made a lot of money, but now we are entering a time where a large percentage of employees of these companies that are getting listed are getting wealthy. And for the first time, we are moving away from just pay me salary and be happy, and to moving into the stock. And that's going to create a new wave, in my view, because I've never seen a lot of people from startup joining these big companies. But I'm seeing a wave of all the execs now moving to this side because now everybody has tasted the blood of stocks.
Absolutely. And thank you, Kunal, for sharing that. So I want you all to keep in mind, Cred was started 6 years ago. 2.5 years ago, Cred had zero revenue. And today it's over 2,400 crores, which is the last published number. I know it's much higher than that today, right? So the pace at which Indian companies are generating real revenue is quite incredible, by the way, and you'd be surprised how profitable both these companies will be very soon. All right, let's move to Unicommerce, Kapil. Talk a little bit about, it used to be that Indian enterprises, with the exception of maybe even the top 100 large companies in India, right, really didn't want to pay a lot for software. But that is changing. But tell us a little bit about what's changing enterprise behavior, buying behavior.
I think few things that are changing. One, we are seeing this shift from on-prem to SaaS because the use cases are becoming very complex now and they're fast evolving. Like we are operating in an industry like e-commerce where things are changing very fast. Like direct-to-customer, omni-channel were fringe use cases pre-pandemic, but now they are becoming mainstream. Every brand wants to have a D2C web front. Quick commerce, until last year, everybody was questioning whether it will survive or not. And today, it is a salient contributor to many of the categories. It's changing every quarter, every 2 quarters. And that's why we are seeing enterprises shifting their tech spends to SaaS solutions because they can keep up with this changing landscape because it's fast evolving. And more importantly, now it requires a strong interplay of different systems talking to each other, which can only be achieved through SaaS. The other thing, the other notion, other myth about Indian enterprises is that they will make you build a moon but pay pennies for it. That's changing. I think Indian enterprises are seeing value of a credible SaaS solution and are ready to pay for it because they are able to take away this big complexity out of their head so that the businesses can focus on their core. A lot of e-commerce businesses realize that they have to deal with a lot of complexity on the user side, so they can give it to Unicommerce to manage the entire supply chain, and then they can focus on their core completely. And we are increasingly seeing even mid-sized enterprises ready to shell out money, give reasonable pricing to be able to scale the enterprise size. And that's why now with Unicommerce, there is an example that you can actually build a large business, profitable business, selling to Indian enterprises and make money out of that.
Got it. Okay, great. I'm going to now go to fundraising, both in the private markets and the public markets. I'm going to start with you, Kapil. As I said, 2019, which is 5 years ago, the market cap, combined market cap of all venture-funded startups in India that had gone public was less than 10 billion. 5 years later, that number is over 100 billion, right? And if you go back to 2019, there were less than 5 venture-funded startups that had gone public, both India as well as anywhere in the world. That number today, if you look at venture-funded startups that have gone public, that number is over 30. And every year we expect that number to double. Okay, every year. 30 will double every year. So I want to obviously start with you because the biggest thing that's happened to Indian startups is IPOs. Every startup wants to get profitable, go public. One big lesson you've learned taking Unicommerce public, and this is actually both for the startup entrepreneurs in the room as well as watching.
I think it is now very heartening to see this trend of this growth at all costs getting debunked. I think it is an era of sustainable growth where I see even young founders being very, very conscious about building unit economics. Sure, you can invest for growth in the beginning, but there is a path that right from the beginning, founders are keeping that in mind. I think one of the things that was really liked in our story was that we were growing consistently and we had very stable financials. We were profitable for many years, and that is one thing that was really appreciated. And obviously, e-commerce, we've just scratched the surface. Like in India last year, about 4.5 billion shipments were processed. If you compare that with China, 130 billion plus shipments were processed. So there is a huge opportunity as far as e-commerce is concerned. And I think if whoever comes to me for advice for taking company public, and I think the biggest advice is that you have to first demonstrate consistent financials, profitability for a sustained period of time. Many founders are thinking that we do it for 1 or 2 quarters and then take the company public. I think what the public market is looking for is sustained financial growth and sustained revenue growth. You cannot have these troughs and crests of growth. Sustained and consistent performance. I'm a big believer of compounding, and that can only come through sustained growth in revenues and profits.
Terrific. So I'm going to ask both of you a question. You can decide not to answer it if you'd like. This wasn't in the prep questions I sent you guys. So India today has Zomato's 27 billion market cap. Info-Edge and MakeMyTrip are both north of 10 billion market cap. Swiggy went public yesterday, 10, 12, 11, 12 billion market cap. So we have 4 companies, venture-funded companies that have gone public that are over 10 billion market cap. Every year, our projection is every year India will have 5 companies going forward from 2025, 4 to 5 companies that will go public with north of 10 billion market cap. Okay, we are beyond the sort of 500 billion to a billion market cap. I'm not saying what your market cap is going to be because nobody knows. But when are you guys going to go public? And you don't have to give an exact date, time, month, etc. But like rough sense of Amrit, like when do you think?
I read an article yesterday that we're going public.
So what did the article say? I mean, I didn't read the article. So what did the article say?
No, I think we're thinking about it. Probably, I think great examples here, and there's a lot of people have paved the path. So we're thinking about maybe next year or the year after. Yeah.
All right, 25 or 26, Kunal?
I don't know the answer, but I think the best question to ask any startup is, when are you going to make a lot of profit? Because if you do that, you can decide to go IPO.
Okay. Let's build on this. When is Cred going to make $1 billion of FCF, free cash flow, a year?
That's a great question. We operate in environments where a lot of businesses that we do are controlled through regulatory environments, and a lot of the times we have to choose business models and choices as the regulatory landscape evolves. We operate in a market where India's 50% of PAT and 50% of market cap are in financial services. And all fintechs put together today do not earn more than 0.2% of that profit or revenue right now. So the answer to that is that we're operating in the largest category that exists. It's a matter of time.
Yeah, and also, just to build on that, like Zerodha, which is bootstrapped, has $1 billion of revenue and 500 million of free cash flow already, and the companies never raised the paisa. Okay, we got we are a little over 2 minutes left. So last question, I'd like each of you to talk a little bit about 10 years from now, right? A decade from now, how big can each of your companies get? And it can be revenue, it could be users, it could be whatever metric you'd like. And then that's question one. Second question is, what do you think will happen to our startup ecosystem 10 or 15 years from now? Some characteristics, in whatever dimension you'd like. So I'm going to start with you, Kapil.
I cannot comment on the revenues, but our revenues are linked to the number of transactions. As I mentioned, there is a significant headroom of growth for the transactions. Just looking at China's example, China is already 30 times that of India's transactions. And the good part is we are in an industry like e-commerce where things are changing every quarter. So we are seeing this innovation happening every quarter. So I think we are interestingly at a cusp of 3 trends, which is e-commerce, supply chain, and technology. There are interesting things happening on each front. AI is like an overabused word now, but although it's not come into the supply chain space as much as it has probably done in marketing and support yet, but we are seeing very interesting developments happening in the e-commerce technology space, which is to do with omni-channel retail technology. Similarly, on supply chain, we are seeing a lot of innovations on automation, robotics, etc. coming in. So I think 10 years, like it's hard to predict. Like 2 years ago, who would have thought that D2C omnichannel will become mainstream or quick commerce will become mainstream? So 10 years is a very long time frame, but a lot of exciting stuff is going to happen in e-commerce, in supply chain, and broader technology sector.
Got it. So like 10, 20, 30, 40 times bigger. Got it. Kunal, we'll go to you next. 10 years from now, how big is Cred?
27 to 30% of US market cap is tech companies. India's market cap on tech companies is probably less than 2%, 5%, whatever you want to put it at.
It's about 100 billion on call
Yeah.
it 5 trillion, 2%.
Yeah, 2%. And I told you two metrics. One is that tech will become highest part of market share. Financial services will remain 50-odd% till we become developed nation. So let's call it till Viksit, we're going to be largely financial services on market cap and something. When you combine both of these Venn diagrams, you can easily imagine a few $100 billion companies. We wish we are one of them.
There we go, 100 billion market cap next 10, 15 years. By the way, we do think that India will have its first $100 billion market cap venture-funded company before the end of this decade. Maybe it'll be Cred, but there's a few others that are in the running. Amrit, Zetwork, let's wrap with you. How big can Zetwork get?
I mean, again, I'll just answer it thematically. Like, we sit on three very important themes. We are a very big part of helping the Indian economy grow with making manufacturing more efficient. We are helping India replace dependency on China, and we're also helping the world reduce dependency on China. I think in 10 years, it is easier to predict what will not change. Our customers will want goods cheaper, faster, and better. And hopefully, we are the partner of choice for the world's leading brands to participate in that journey.